Hey, this is Wyatt Jackson here from Wyatt Jackson Story Design. Very excited about this this last episode of the series on the making of story design. So I've talked a lot about collaborating with people, how to think big, relationships and so on. This is a really special one for me because people say to me a lot, how did you hook up with Debbie Allen and Dick Clark? How did that happen? So what I'm gonna do is frame this episode as always be ready. Always be ready. So Debbie Allen was coming to Boston to do an industrial tour with the American Heart Association, where she was performing with people, and then she would get up and talk about heart disease and how to take care of yourself. The American Heart Association was doing a campaign called the Cholesterol Lowdown, trying to get people to lower their cholesterol levels so they can live better. Well, Diane Walker called me and said, Debbie Allen's coming in town, and I think you should go down there and meet her. That's all she said. Just go down and meet her and introduce yourself and say that I sent you. Now, did not know that was a setup for what was about to happen. So I get down to South Station in Boston. It was a free event. Anybody could go see it. But of course they have security and they have people around, and I get down there, and sure enough, over there is Debbie Allen, but there's people and around her, security and so on. And I was nervous to go over to her and say something like, hey, Diane. I was just nervous. And so a woman by the name of Sister Audrey, who actually passed away last year, she was there from my church. And she said to me, there's Debbie Allen. And I said, yeah, I know I'm supposed to meet her. And she said, what you waiting for? So I went over to Debbie, put my hand out and said, my name is Wyatt Jackson. Diane Walker told me to come to this event and introduce myself to you. This is a true story. She looked me up and down and she blinked and she said, what are you doing for the next 6 months? I said, well, I'm in the studio just working on my craft. She said, would you be interested in doing a tour where we're going to be touring for about 6 months? And I said, sure. Now, she didn't know what I could do. She knew I was a dancer, but she didn't know what the flavor was. So she said, my assistant will get your information. So of course, whenever that happened to me in the past, I would always think, well, they're just trying to blow me off because, this introduction may feel a little awkward for them, right? 2 weeks later, I get a call from an agency out of New York City called Ketchum Productions. And they said, we're calling on behalf of Debbie Allen Nixon. I didn't hear Debbie Allen, I heard Debbie Allen Nixon. So at first I thought, who is this? And then it hit me, Debbie Allen. Oh my gosh, that's right. So I played it off, yes. She said, well, we are calling because Debbie wants you to go on a tour with her, and you showed interest when she mentioned it to you. So we want to tell you the particulars and the money, and if you're interested in the cities we're going to. Well, of course, after listening to everything that was being planned, I said yes. Well, this tour wasn't just with Debbie, it was with Dick Clark as well. So when I got deeper into organizing this thing, turned out they wanted me to put together a group of us who dance and who rap and do different things to make these events exciting for them to then come out and talk about what they're going to talk about. So we were the opening act in 6 locations throughout the country for Debbie Allen and Dick Clark. Now, this episode's a short one. I'm going to get right to the point. When opportunity knocks, be ready. So that means get in the studio now. Start working now. Don't wait until a gig comes and then you want to get yourself ready. No, be ready now. And with respect to story design is written all over this. Why would I say that? Because your story as an artist can connect with other stories whether it's a show, a play, a movie idea, a collaboration with someone like Debbie Allen. It doesn't matter what the story is you're connecting with, as long as it's something you agree with and it's positive and so on. But make sure your story is ready. So story design isn't just about doing a show, it's also about designing your own story to be ready to connect to other stories. Now this is going to be a chapter in the book as well, on how to make sure that you're clear about your story, that you organize your story. One of the sections of the book is on organizing your story, and then organize your work, right? So the organize your story has to do with all that you're bringing to the table. Make sure you're clear about why you're bringing it to the table, the big why. Why are you doing this art form? Why are you doing this form of dance? Why are you doing this type of storytelling? Be clear about it so that when opportunity comes, you're ready. Wyatt Jackson from Wyatt Jackson Story Design. Thank you so much for checking out this series. The next series that we're going to be putting out there is one that I did a couple of years ago on Think and Grow Rich, a creative's choice. I am associated with the Napoleon Hill Foundation out of Wise, Virginia, the organization that is furthering Napoleon Hill's work. Of course, he was the famous author of Think and Grow Rich. I was able to connect with that organization and get certified to now be a Napoleon Hill Foundation representative. So that means I have been through all the trainings of the 17 principles of success and so on. So stay tuned for that, because that series